For 20 years, every time you booted a video game and hit a loading screen, you stared at a progress bar, a spinning icon, a tip you'd already read 100 times. That wasn't laziness, it wasn't a technical limit. Playing a small game while the big one loads is easy. Somebody figured it out back in 1987, on a cassette tape home computer. The reason you couldn't play it was a single patent, owned by Namco. On an idea Namco didn't invent, and here's the strange part. They never sued anyone. Not once. They didn't have to. The patent alone was enough to freeze an entire feature for 2 decades. This is the story of how nothing, a piece of paper that was never even used, can be more powerful than a lawsuit. 1995, the Sony PlayStation. CD-ROM games look incredible, but they load slowly, sometimes a full minute of staring at a black screen. Namco shipped Ridge Racer, and while it loaded, something appeared. A complete playable copy of Galaxian, the 1979 arcade shooter. Not a video, not a demo, the actual game. You could play it. And if you shot down every single enemy before the load finished, the game rewarded you. 8 hidden bonus cars and the word perfect flashing on screen. It got stranger. Ridge Racer loaded the entire game into the PlayStation's memory up front, which meant once you were in, you could eject the disc, pull it right out and drop in any music CD you owned, racing to your own soundtrack. In 1995, people were stunned. This felt like the future. A free game hidden in the wait, secrets layered on secrets. What players didn't see. That same year, Namco filed a patent. US patent 5718 Towers 632. A legal claim over the very idea of playing an auxiliary game while the main one loads. Granted in 1998, and it would not expire until November 27, 2015. The future everyone just glimpsed? It was being locked in a drawer. Here's what makes this absurd. Namco didn't invent this, not even close. Rewind to 1987, the Commodore 64, games loaded from cassette tape. 5, sometimes 10 minutes of waiting while the tape hissed. A technician at the publisher Mastertronic named Richard Applin had an idea. Load a tiny game first. Let people play it while the real game streams in behind it. He called it Invade a Load, a clone of Space Invaders. It loaded in under a minute, took about 8 kilobytes and shipped in dozens of games. He didn't even commission music for it. He grabbed a Rob Hubbard track they already owned the rights to, because the whole thing was just something he built for fun. And it worked too well. Players would stop the tape deliberately just to keep playing the loading game instead of the one they actually paid for. One reviewer flat out said he preferred Invade a Load to the real product. That was 8 years before Namco's patent. 8 years of public commercial shipping prior art. Under patent law, this is the whole ball game. You cannot patent something that already exists. The idea was, in the language of the law, both anticipated and obvious. Namco's claim should have been dead on arrival. The patent office granted it anyway. So how does a patent this week get issued, and then last 20 years? Start with how software patents work. They're cheap to file and easy to write broadly. You don't have to prove your idea is good, or even that it's truly new. You have to get it past an examiner who has limited time and a mountain of applications. Prior art buried in a 1987 cassette loader for a dead computer? Easy to miss. Once it's granted, the patent carries a presumption of validity. To kill it, somebody has to spend years and millions in court proving the patent office got it wrong. That's a bet most companies will never make over a loading screen. And the law that would have buried this patent didn't even exist yet. It wasn't until 2014, nearly the end of the patent's life, that the Supreme Court ruled, in a case called Alice, that you can't patent an abstract idea just by adding on a computer. By that standard, Namco's patent was exactly the kind of thing that shouldn't exist. But by 2014, the damage was 19 years deep. A weak patent in the right system isn't weak at all. It's a loaded gun that never has to be fired. Which brings us to the most important part of this whole story. What did Namco do with their patent? Nothing. For 20 years, Namco sued absolutely no one over it. And yet the feature vanished. Why? Because a patent doesn't need to be enforced to do damage. Every game studio has lawyers. Those lawyers see a broad patent, run the numbers. A lawsuit costs millions even if you win, and give the same advice every time. Just don't do it. Don't build loading screen games. Not worth the risk. That's a chilling effect. The threat alone froze the industry. For 17 years after the patent issued, loading screens went backwards. Progress bars, lore text, concept art slideshows. The thing players fell in love with in 1995 was quietly strangled. A few studios found the loophole hiding in the wording. The patent covered an auxiliary game, a separate one. So EA's FIFA and the action game Bayonetta let you mess around with a slice of the actual game while it loaded. Kick a ball, practice a combo. Technically not auxiliary. Technically safe. Clever, but it only proves the point. Everyone else just gave up. The patent had a clock on it. Filed November 27, 1995, a 20-year term. Expiration November 27, 2015. But there was one last cruel detail. The patent didn't only block shipping a loading game, it blocked even working on one. You couldn't legally develop a minigame ahead of time, sit on it and launch the day the patent died. The development itself was infringement. So the industry had to start from zero. November 28, 2015, the first legal day in 2 decades, and the response was instant. Developers organized a loading screen jam on itch.io. The stated goal, in their own words, build loading screen games and defile the patent that held back game design for so long. 20 years of frozen creativity released in a single weekend of pure spite. There's something perfect about that. The feature didn't come back with a corporate press release. It came back as revenge. Here's the thing you need to understand. The Namco patent is not a weird one-off. It's a symptom of how the whole industry works. Sega patented the arrow that points you to your destination, and the pedestrians that leap out of the way of your car, the core feel of Crazy Taxi. Then in 2003 they sued The Simpsons. Road rage for being too similar. It settled quietly. Nintendo patented the sanity meter from Eternal Darkness, the system behind the most famous trick in horror gaming, where the game pretends to delete your save files, pretends to switch off your TV to make you doubt your own eyes. Locked behind the patent for nearly 20 years, and in 2026, just months ago, the US Patent Office threw out Nintendo's patent on summoning a creature to fight for you. The one they'd aimed straight at Palworld. The prior art that killed it came in part from Bandai Namco. The same company that held an invalid loading screen patent for 20 years was now the evidence used to strike one down. The system eating its own tail. But the clearest example is the one still in effect right now. Shadow of Mordor 2014 introduced the Nemesis System. Ordinary enemies that remember you. Beat one and he comes back, scarred, angrier, bragging about the last time he killed you. Lose to a nobody and watch him climb the ranks on your failure. Critics called it one of the most important ideas in modern game design. It made every player's story personal. Warner Brothers patented it. That patent runs until 2036, which is why a mechanic everyone agrees is brilliant has appeared in exactly 2 games, both made by Warner Brothers, and legally cannot appear anywhere else for another decade. Not because nobody can build it, because nobody is allowed to. That's the cost. Not a stolen idea, a frozen one. So the next time a game lets you play through the loading screen, that's not a small thing. That's a feature that came back from the dead. It existed in 1987, it was buried in 1998, and it stayed buried for 17 years. Not by a lawsuit, but by the fear of one. Think back to last time. John Carmack gave Doom away and it ran on everything, 100 platforms and counting. Namco locked one idea behind a patent it didn't even deserve, and the whole feature vanished for a generation. Same industry, opposite choice, opposite world, next time the idea that's still locked away. The Nemesis System, enemies that remember your name, hold grudges, and climb the ranks to hunt you down. Patented, untouchable until 2036. The best mechanic nobody is allowed to use, and the strange petty reason it might never be free.